Is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We got 10 games here on a Wednesday. And James, as we alluded to earlier on in the week, this slate would have been bigger, but they have cut the 10 p.m. games off of the Wednesday main slate here. Tuesday, they included the 10 p.m. games. Monday, they did not. So we are without the Miami Heat, Los Angeles Lakers, and without the Orlando Magic, Sacramento Kings here. The Magic and Kings would have been on the second legs of a back-to-back on this one. We have quite a few teams on this slate that are going to be on the second legs of back-to-backs. We have OKC, we have Brooklyn, we have Memphis, we have New Orleans, we have Chicago, all on the back-to-backs here as well. So, should be a pretty interesting slate for it being 10 games. We also have Milwaukee and Indiana running it back. This is the fifth time they've played now already this season. We just saw this matchup the other day. The Pacers and Bucks went for 235 points in that game. Giannis went for 77 fantasy points in that game. Tyrese Halliburton had a nice little outing for himself as well. 58 fantasy points, going for 26 and 11. So that game total was set at 260. It did go under, but still plenty of points scored there.
Yeah, plenty of points scored there. Giannis talked about how Indiana defended him a little different, and if that's how they defend him different, I guess.
Yeah, well, they didn't put him to the free throw line 32 times in this game.
Yep,
So
they had a lot of traps in that game too. That's why you saw the 11 assists. He was just passing out double teams the whole night. It's an elite game. We actually have two games over 240. The OKC Atlanta game's 247.5, as we saw OKC take down the Celtics at home on Tuesday night. Now they travel to Atlanta. 240 and they're road favorites in Atlanta.
I was gonna say that feels like a tough back-to-back for me.
Tough back-to-back, for sure. Very tough back-to-back. And there's a lot of back-to-backs here. We'll see who's playing and who's not. Like, some of these we don't really have to worry about. Like, I'm sure Brooklyn's well rested going into tomorrow's slate because they got smashed and didn't play the fourth quarter. And New Orleans played 25 minutes for every starter, right? Or less. And they got smashed, or they smashed Brooklyn. So a couple of these teams on the back-to-backs don't really have that concerns. SGA played 40 minutes. They also played 11 guys, though, John.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of said that to you when we were going through it. Like, that's what Dagnall does, especially on back-to-backs, to kind of just like, we'll see if everyone plays, but that is a tough back-to-back. Home and then travel to Atlanta in a massive pace up. Like, OKC is playing really fast, but like to have to do that again in like a track meet, even in a more up-tempo game, that is pretty tough.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So again, a lot of interesting matchups that we will talk about, and as we said, there's plenty of roster spots when it comes to pricing up that we'll talk about here as well. Maybe we'll find some value. We know the back-to-backs, they've been pricing up some of these guys here, so we'll try to find where to go. With it being a large slate, though, we have a lot of high-priced plays. We have Giannis, Luka, SGA, Trae Young, and Halliburton up all over $10,000 on this main slate. We have some big names already being ruled out of this slate here as well. Just kind of going over it, we see that Kevin Durant has already been ruled out of this slate. Or we know that Nikola Vucevic has been out for a little bit. Anthony Simons is questionable for this slate. We know the Cavs guys are out. Chris Middleton popped up here as well as questionable with injury management and a wrist sprain. Always potentially seeing Chris Middleton limited or ruled out there. Kobe White got hurt. He was able to come back in this game, but we'll see if he's able to play on the second leg. We know Levine, Ayton already been ruled out as well. So, and Exum, I think, is doubtful. Doubtful for Wednesday's game. We saw Kyrie Irving come back in the other day for the Dallas Mavericks here. So, will be interesting to see how it all plays out. But let's just jump into it. We got Luka versus Portland, SGA versus Atlanta, Young versus OKC, and Halliburton versus Milwaukee as your top 4 priced guards.
You know, Luka played 34 minutes because they got housed. But it is interesting that he had such a bad shooting night. Still goes for 50 because he has 14 assists. So if you want to get to Luka, you can. It's a good spot against Portland. SGA, again, he played a lot of minutes in that Boston game. He looked amazing per
Yeah.
usual because he is just amazing.
Trying to see if he's had any sort of similar home road back-to-backs here. He obviously just had a back-to-back a few nights ago where he dominated in the second leg of that game. He's had back-to-backs on the road. Any home road back-to-backs?
They won it by 50 in that second leg in Portland, and he didn't play any minutes. He played 23 minutes.
So I don't see this to be the first time they've had a home and road back-to-back. So the travel is kind of an interesting wrinkle to throw in there.
Definitely. And it's a fantastic spot. Like if there's no limitations or he's playing, obviously getting there. But on the flip side, Trey coming off another one of those games where just he said enough of the 30-point double doubles. How about 40? 40-point double double. Look, dude, it's just one of those things. He's just too good. He was always too good for what we were getting earlier in the year.
And I don't think we expected that game to be competitive against the Wizards there. So for it to be a 4-point game for him to get 40 minutes, we looked at that, right? Wasn't this going to be a double-digit point game when we looked at the spread on that one?
I don't think this was on. I don't know if this was on a main slate. I feel like this was
the 31st was Sunday.
I feel like this was an afternoon game.
Okay, yeah. So they covered by 2.5. So I guess the spread was only 6.5 in that game. I thought it was a little bit higher, but that's all it was.
I wouldn't be so like Atlanta's not that good. Sure. Like on the road, they're good. They're a playing team at this point. So Washington's been playing a little better too.
Okay. Trae Young, obviously great spot. And then Halliburton. I mean, he's the cheapest of the group. Like, why wouldn't you just run that one back?
Yeah, I don't really understand that. They had no answers for him, and he didn't even make any threes. He made 1 3. This is a guy who has he's made 9 threes in a game this year. Shooting 40% from 3. He didn't make any.
Nearly triple-double. Would have been a second career triple-double there had he gotten the one more rebound.
Yeah, it was super. I mean, as you know, I played Halliburton as my primary spend up on this slate, so I was locked in please, please, please. And then the final rebound went to, I think, McConnell, and he kicked it to Halliburton. I was like,
Sure. Moving our way down the list here, we do have John Morant back-to-back. We have Donovan Mitchell here at 9,500 still in this matchup against the Wizards.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we got Devin Booker without Durant here at $9,400. Anthony Edwards, point guard, shooting guard now. How about that one? Anthony Edwards, point guard, shooting guard, $9,100.
What?
He gets the Pelicans in that spot. Scotty Barnes at 9K at point guard, small forward. That's your 9K tier. Donovan Mitchell against the Wizards at $9,500, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, sir.
This is stupid. Point guard this is what happens on a 10-game slate when all good players are matched up against bad teams, or just in elite environments.
Donovan Mitchell shot 8 of 21 from the floor and still gave you 53.
Yeah, it's really hard to not play Donovan Mitchell here.
Yeah.
He's playing all the minutes, all the peripheral stats, all the scoring. Multi-position eligibility. Super confused at the Devin Booker game the other night, but whatever, back-to-back, sometimes it happens.
Yep.
I'd be willing to go back to the well. All the peripheral stats, no Kevin Durant. I am super confused by the Edwards eligibility, but so be it. 38 minutes in 3 straight games. He just plays 38-plus minutes. We're getting the early season and Edwards again, where he's scoring in bunches. All those guys are just elite options.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Mid-tier range, you have Lillard now at 88. Could be no Middleton in this game. We have Brunson, Harden at 87, Cade at 85 against Utah. That feels nice.
Cade against Utah.
$8,500.
Yeah, a little price reduction after. I mean, they just got bashed in that game. Super sad as Jalen Duren roster, who had a monster game and but just had foul trouble the whole
Right.
time. Yeah, I don't like or I don't hate the Cade price. Simon's TBD there. Really like the Kyrie price. There was no limitation on Kyrie either.
Yeah, the limitation in that game was they lost by 30.
They lost by a lot. Yes. Shout out Simone Fontecchio and Jordan Clarkson.
First triple double in 16 years for the Jazz.
Did you hear the
coach,
Will Hardy? Dude, Will Hardy, that was awesome. He's get me the triple double so you can get the hell off the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'd be okay getting the Kyrie 83, Van Vliet 81. I saw Tari Eason. I mean, I think they're just going to list him questionable every day. He's going to play every day, but Tari Eason is questionable again. Van Vliet 81s. Yeah, this year's fine.
Brogdon, I guess we have to wait and see on the
Simons, yeah.
On the Simons news there, $7,800. DeJounte 77, McCollum 74. Tougher matchup against Minnesota, but obviously had himself a really nice night. Bradley Beal's up to $6,900. Played 34 minutes. I guess we would be interested here with no Durant.
Yeah, right? Lock and load. Nothing more to say. 34 minutes, second leg to back. Nothing else.
Quickly, 28 minutes in his debut here. 31 fantasy points for him, up to 6,400. That was pretty quick jump for me. I don't know if I'm going to get there or not.
Dude, those 28 minutes are an aberration because it would have been 38, but he had 4 first half fouls. All 4 of his fouls came in the first half. He played like 11 minutes, and he played the first like 9 minutes. Then he checked in and immediately he would have played 35 minutes. Like, I know what you're saying. In theory, like we're not used to seeing quickly at this price in general.
I still worry about the rest of this team though. Siakam still had a monster game.
Siakam did. Barnes was good. Pirtle was really good. We're gonna see 30 plus minutes every night out of Quickly.
Would you rather Quickly or Scoot if there's no Simons?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel better about Toronto's chances to keep it competitive. Not that that matters, but
Dallas just got blown up by Utah. So
no, I know. We've also seen Utah be super weird at times, right? Where they just like go nuclear, where they don't miss.
Yeah.
Did you see how Fontecchio started that game?
He finished with 26
like 5 threes, like right out of the gate. Dude, it's like they just have these like random crazy outbursts. And you're just like, all right, chalk it up. They're probably going to go 3 and 10.
Ivy played 26 minutes as a blowout loss, but he had 31 fantasy points, $6K for him. So getting some price bumps here. Sexton in that game only played 19 minutes, so probably no good anymore for him.
Yep.
Giddey on the back-to-back. I mean, he had a really good game against Boston. I don't know if they would go there or not. Keontae George getting some decent minutes at $5,700. Like, what's our next play here?
I am very interested to see Giddey's rostership here because he is playing big minutes again, or not big minutes. He is playing solid minutes again.
Yeah.
And he's being super productive again. So, third straight game over 28 fantasy points at 59. He's 5x plus in 3 straight games. So, Giddey would probably be the most intriguing play for me in this tier. I just would like to see the ownership before fully. Like, if he's going to be super popular on a 10-game slate on a back-to-back, I might look elsewhere, but
sure.
That
if Kobe White gets ruled out of this game, would you play AO 4,900?
Yeah, I'd have some interest. Also, interesting note: Patrick Williams left and played 11 minutes and Io played all the minutes there. So I would think that like the likes of Javon Carter, Caruso, Dosunmu would all just benefit in the backcourt
Right.
because
Oh,
this
I
is
agree.
like their only.
Anybody else down here for you?
Do you think Amen Thompson, based on that blowout game, could like play himself into more time because he had a freaking big night?
I mean, he was a lottery pick,
But
wasn't he?
obviously
So sure.
largely due to the blowout, obviously. And then if there's no Nembhard, McConnell played 22 minutes off the bench and was
Yeah.
one assist shy
Classic
of a double
McConnell.
double. He
Classic
was
McConnell.
amazing.
Yeah.
He was dude. He was bringing it down and doing this like little loop where he was like do this little jump shot, and the Indiana broadcaster was laughing as he was doing it because he saw it coming. He's like, they don't know what's happening. They don't take him serious. And then he would just turn around, little baby jumper, good. And then the Indiana won, and they're like, oh, right. Probably should have gone.
Listen, I'm for sure in on McConnell if Nembhard's out. We know what kind of freak that guy can be when he gets any level of playing time here. Are we ready to have Brooklyn on a back-to-back? Like, I know they got blown out, but
we were all waiting for the next Brooklyn
right?
back-to-back to happen again, huh?
Okay.
I don't think that happens again. I think that honestly, if that happened again, Jock Vaughn gets fired.
Mikal Bridges is mutiny.
Not kidding.
Yeah.
He signed an extension last year, dude. Mikal Bridges, they like do like there's like a Rudy jersey. They put it down, but they go into the owner's office and they say, "This is for Jock getting fired." They like all put their jerseys down and they're like, "We're not playing."
All right, shooting guards here. A lot of guys we have discussed already. Desmond Bane, we haven't. He's $8,500. Paul George is 83. Brandon Ingram was on pace for just another monster night, but that game got blown out. He also is at $8,300.
Not getting a Bane. PG is fine. Ingram, in that matchup. I'd rather just play all the guys we mentioned with the point guard eligibility.
Okay. You do have Mikal here at 72. Middleton, again, if he's in, I guess we probably have some interest, but he's questionable here. Jalen Green had a decent game, 22, 5, and 1. He only played 27 minutes because they won by 23. Brooklyn just got blown out by the Pelicans. Do we think that Brooklyn hangs with Houston here at all? We talked about the usage rate, you and I, before yesterday's show. Jalen Green's usage is impacted by, for whatever reason, Dylan Brooks off the floor. It's not Jabari Smith off the floor.
Yeah.
And he came out firing, 22 actual in that game. So, if Dylan Brooks is out again, which he is.
It'd be an interesting pivot off of someone like
Beal,
who like Bradley Beal is likely going to be chalky.
Okay. Yeah,
so
Bogdan here, 28 minutes and have a great shooting night, but he took 19 shots, which is obviously always a bit more encouraging to see. Jordan Poole, Karis LeVert had 30 actual in that game against Toronto. Don't know if we can count on that happening again, but really good game for him in that spot. For Karis LeVert, RJ Barrett, 29 minutes in that game, 19 actual, 9 rebounds. Mid-tier range for shooting guard for you?
Yeah, so LeVert, we've learned recently, is on a minutes limit and 28 to 29 seems to be the limit. It was 28, but he extended that obviously because he couldn't miss. Like, you can't take him off the floor. So if you think that he can pay off in 28 minutes, by all means. Barrett was in foul trouble in that game. Another foul trouble. Really good to see. Literally already that was a season high in rebounds. First game in Toronto has 9 rebounds for season high. So if that's something that he's gonna do more of, like, we've been waiting for RJ Barrett to be good peripherally. Maybe Toronto's unlocks that. I'd be okay getting there. I've really hard to ignore the game that Jordan Clarkson is coming off, and now he's $6,000. I don't know. It's really hard to trust Utah at all, but $6,000 for Jordan Clarkson coming off a triple double and now gets Detroit feels.
I mean, obviously, you're not counting on a triple double. It was his first career.
Yeah, but he's 6,000. No, I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm counting on triple double. I'm just also saying.
What's your expectation? I mean, I guess he could score 20 again. That's fine.
I mean, he scored 30 his first game back from his injury.
Well, but I guess I would like
he
he
scored
got those
30,
extra minutes obviously because he was chasing the triple double. His role had kind of been 24, 25 and not 28, 30, it seems like. I don't know. I agree with you. He can obviously pop for tournaments, and it is Detroit, so it's not that bad. But I don't know why they're not utilizing him like they were earlier. Like that's the frustrating thing for me.
Well, definitely the bench thing is not great because they just cannot get
I
away from
think
starting Chris Dunn for
they
whatever
like
reason.
him.
Like they just yeah, I mean that's just super infuriating. I'd be okay with. I mean, 6K for Clarkson in tournaments. I know this is a different role than he had earlier, but we were paying like 8K for him, and
I keep saying I like Grayson
actively
Allen,
playing
man.
him.
I mean, he is also 6K. He played 28 minutes. There's no Kevin Durant. He's just steady. He's just a very steady play.
Yeah, I don't much add.
Okay. I mean, Mathurin's down here at 55, same matchup. They play Mathurin in this game.
Yeah, he's
right. Like we talked about it. This is the matchup where they just Ben Mathurin gets minutes versus Milwaukee. He doesn't always get them against other teams, but he gets them against Milwaukee here. So
like he had a lot break right for him. I mean, one, he was obviously great. Yeah, it's crazy. I know it's crazy. Like obviously the Nembhard injury. They also just didn't play Jalen Smith. They just started him and he never played again. Which I kind of expected. I know a lot of teams have been trying to go big against Milwaukee. They don't care. They're just like, all right, well, we could guard you with Neesmith and Toppin, and that's what they did. Like Giannis. He's gonna be one of the more popular plays
definitely
for sure at 5,500. And if Nembhard sits, he's gonna start. Right? I mean, unless the only other it's obviously well, let me ask you. There is the Bruce Brown factor here that we're kind of forgetting about. Bruce Brown is questionable. This is the first time he's been questionable during this span. If Bruce Brown plays and Nembhard plays, is Mathurin still as appealing at 55? Because Bruce Brown's going to start, right? Like Bruce Brown starts.
Yeah.
That's my assumption.
No,
he's been starting.
But does he get the minutes right away?
And maybe
do they really go away from Mathurin the way he's been playing? Hield only played 20 minutes in that game. They could just cut Hield, and
they could cut Hield. It's also Rick Carlisle. It's like
if Nembhard's
I
I'll feel
Mathurin just dominated this. Right. There's always the scenario that both of them play though. Like if Nembhard and Bruce Brown plays, that is an uncomfortable feeling for everyone in Indiana not named Tyrese Haliburton.
Alex Caruso here, obviously, again, will get the minutes. Obviously, could get a bump in minutes if Kobe White is out of this game, or Pat Will, as you mentioned, could see up over 30 in this one. Gary Trent played 26, kind of back in his role here. Do you think any thoughts for the other Toronto guys?
I think a lot of it had to do with foul trouble for Gary Trent, but let's see what quickly picked up his fourth and Trent checked in. He would have played 11 first half minutes, played an extra 5. And then he never played again after the 9-minute mark of the fourth. So,
okay. Anybody else down here for you? Norm had a pretty good day the other day. You could have Beasley if there's no Middleton at 5K, could be pretty nice.
Yes, if Beasley's playing minutes again, 37, 35. I know Beauchamp is not on the injury report, so maybe he steals minutes. But if Middleton's not in, Beasley, I mean, going back to Luke Kennard could be an option. Second straight game where he's top 20 minutes. He had 24.5 fantasy points. He's now had 25 and 24 fantasy points in the 2 games since returning. He's made 3+ threes in both those games. Like he's clearly going to just shoot threes when he's out there. But he's also pretty good. He's been pretty good perfectly in each of those 2 games. You gave Burks a shout. He had a really good game. He got garbage time. Alec Burks, if he's going to play. no problem getting there. 4,300.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, we
the
talked about it in
leagues
the Discord
were
and on the show yesterday, right? Like, he is somebody that all of a sudden found himself back into their rotation and is doing exactly what he was when the season started. We're like, hell yeah, well, we'll play Alec Burks every night at this price tag because he's a bucket. And then they stopped playing him for whatever reason. They lost 28 straight games and like, you know what? Maybe we should go back to Alec Burks, and give this guy a run. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I like the Alec Burks play at $4,300 as well. Then we'll see who's in or out, right? Obviously, that will dictate some more value that might open up, and where we can go from there. At small forward, Scotty Barnes is 9K still. We wondered where or if anybody would be impacted. I don't know if we can say it was an impact. I mean, played 36 minutes. He had 20 actual, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Doesn't feel like something that's being taken away from, Barrett did have 9 rebounds, but OG was a guy that could grab some rebounds. So, like, what's your takeaway on Scotty Barnes? Are you willing to pay the 9K price tag for him? Or are you waiting to see him, produce with this lineup?
I mean, quickly just had the ball a lot. Let's see. I'm just gonna quick look up touch time for them because I want to see how much Scotty Barnes had the ball with Quickly and Barrett being there, because I think that matters, right? Like if Quickly's not, or Scotty Barnes had the second most touches on the team. Third behind Pirtle and Siakam. So he had the ball a lot. He had the ball the most outside of Emmanuel Quickly and Dennis Schroeder. So I think that he just fell victim to bad breaks on rebounds and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, he's not like a priority for me on this slate, I think, anyway, just given like I love the eligibility and he has a ceiling, but that whole point guard list above him, I almost prioritize in front of him.
All right. Underneath, DeRozan's got a little bit of a price bump. Bane with did Bane always have small forward eligibility? That feels new, right? Okay, it keeps
It's
taken
been back
away.
and
Yeah,
forth.
Kawhi here at 84. Nice little price down for him after a little bit. Ingram still at 83. We talked about him at shooting guard. Lauri Markkanen at 81. Jalen Williams, $7,300.
Yeah, I mean the back-to-back stuff is getting out of hand. Kawhi looked really, really good in that return against Miami. Didn't skip a beat. 34 minutes. He played 20 minutes in the first half. And they said they wanted to limit him, so good limit. No problem getting to Kawhi 84. He has multi-position eligibility again. That's nice. Markkanen, 29 fantasy points in 25 minutes.
And now he's got Detroit, right? Feels like
they blew. They blew the doors off Dallas. Like, it just happens. So I'd be okay getting there. No real interest in Jalen Williams at 73, unless like SGA was rolled out or Chet. Like maybe, but probably only SGA, because that's just at the end of the day we're paying 7,300 for Jalen Williams. SGA has the ball, is the one with the ball in his hands. So if Chet's rolled out, like.
Agreed.
But if SGA was rolled out,
you talked Bogdan already. You have Strus, Karras. We talked Bojan at $6,300. Kind of interesting, just the way he spaces the floor, and the minutes could be there in games where they are competitive. Gave you the 38-42 a couple nights ago in games where he played the 39-40 minutes. So we think Detroit-Utah is going to be a competitive game. Then there's some real scoring opportunity, I think, here for Bojan.
First time Detroit Utah seems like a fun game. Like, it just seems like
It
feels
like a fun game because it feels like a game
right?
that Detroit could maybe win, right? Like, get competitive.
Yeah.
Even then, what's the spread in this game? Do we got one?
239
even then, they're still, because they're on the road,
spread.
they're 8.5-point dogs. But yeah, I mean, again, they certainly have it. I keep going back in my brain while we're talking about this, is going back to Cade, and I just like, it feels like Cade's gonna have a big game here. Definitely could.
Definitely good. He definitely
we talked THJ, Cam Thomas. I mean, THJ, if Exum's out, maybe has some appeal there. Sharp didn't play any minutes because obviously he came back. They said he was limited, but 6K is a great price tag for him if Anthony Simons was out again, and we got any word that he would just go back to playing, a regular role here. Denny at 59,
Yeah, that's the only way.
Neesmith at 56, OG at 56.
Dude, OG, dude, that's the first one I saw. I saw OG 56, and I don't know. He also now has
Yeah,
small
no.
forward, power forward eligibility. It's a little weird. I wish that didn't happen, but 35 minutes fouled out, did exactly what like he's expected to do in New York. I I like that.
Yeah, I have
I
no
like
argument
that
with it.
price
No, I definitely have
for
no problems
OG.
with it. Yeah, we just obviously know that like Randall had 39 in that game, right? And Brunson's a big usage play,
Yep.
but OG, I think, definitely separating himself as a clear three there, where it felt like RJ Barrett can never really do that, right? Like Barrett just couldn't. It almost feels like getting quickly off
No.
that team as well is helpful, right? Because that's another like high usage player that would come on the floor, and they don't really have that, to replace them. So I'm good there. Do you think Murphy plays this game after sitting out last night's game?
Hard to tell. Probably don't get there anyway with Minnesota. But
Okay,
if
well,
he
I was more
plays,
so
like
looking
it's a
at like
good
Herb
price.
Jones or Alvarado played pretty
True.
good in
True.
that late in that game. So
He did. He sure
then
did.
we then we have Montecchio, who's played 31 and 29 minutes the last two games. He's had games like this, right? And now he's having games like this with the starters, like the
As
full team. So Montecchio, the real deal here.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's gonna start. I think we have now come into an era when Utah they're just playing the hot hand. It's just official. Like they have no care in the world. If someone's playing well, they're gonna play him. If someone's not, they're not gonna play him. So if he comes out and makes shots, he's gonna play minutes. I have no further read on Utah other than if somebody is playing well, they're going to play. If they are not playing well, they're going
Okay.
to get Colin Sexton. They're going to play.
DiVincenzo played 25 minutes. He had a couple of good games. Obviously, he went nuclear. But coming back with 27 fantasy points at 5,100 against Minnesota. Now against Chicago. You got Dort here at 5K. Actually had a decent game against Boston. We talked about that. Prices up a little bit here. Where are we going when it comes to the low 5Ks and under?
Under is like
Okay.
basically Burks for me. Maybe you can make a case for Thibault if Tumani Kamara sits again and Shin Sharp's still limited because they'll play Thibault a bunch of minutes, but we just know
Yeah,
he just has a 0 point floor. Like it's just he's good defensively, but I don't know if that's
sure.
good enough for us. I don't know. I don't really
I'm largely with
have
you. I don't really have much here either.
strong
Quentin Grimes only got 18 minutes sort of in his role. Same thing he was doing before, even with those guys out. So nothing new changing for him there.
perks.
At the power forward position, we get the Giannis here at 11.9. He was 11K the other day. He went for 77. It's Indy. He's dominated them all season long. Where does he rank for you among your top spend ups? He is the top price player overall in the slate.
I think we just
Okay.
kind of have to put him at one. I think it'd be
You
like
faded him the other
just
day and
because we
played
put him at one
Halliburton.
doesn't
Do
mean.
you change your theory on that this time around?
I mean, I
Sure,
didn't fade him because I didn't think he was a good play. I faded him because Halliburton was significantly lower owned on a
sure.
small, like a 6 game slate. I'm sure the discrepancy here won't be as much because Halliburton's price has gone down and Giannis's price has gone up. But like, and even I'm going to rank him one. That doesn't mean I'm
Sure.
definitely going to play him. I don't know if you and I have like pinpointed much
Nope, not
elite
yet.
value
Couple of
on this
5K
slate,
guys.
right?
Like I
So
think we're for
like,
sure locking in like OG Ananobi, right? Like it would be sick. Yeah.
yeah,
And
we might
Burks.
play
Yeah,
We
definitely
might play
probably
Alec
playing Alec
Burks.
Burks.
Like
So
but it's like it just feels like one of those things where as much as like you put Giannis in your lineup, 11, he's 5,400
yep,
for the rest of your lineup if you plug Giannis, right? Like we looked at Donovan Mitchell at 9,500. We're like, oh, that
sure.
he might go for 70, and so he's number one for me. But you know, we'll see how that plays out in
Mhm.
ownership with roster construction, with
Yep,
who's in,
agreed.
who's out, and all that
As I
good stuff.
mentioned, Randall is coming off 39 actual here. He got only 48 fantasy points though in 39 actual because he had no assists, no blocks, no steals. So
I know.
tough when that happens for you. We do like the Kawhi. Siakam here at $8,200. Another 40 minutes. Back-to-back games now, 35 and 36 actual for him there at $8,200. We've talked Markkanen. Towns at $7,800 is pretty interesting.
That is very interesting. Yeah, the foul trouble has been an obvious issue lately. 5 fouls in 3 straight games. Now he has to guard Zion. I think that's always been the problem with Towns being a power forward.
Yeah,
right?
Randall put him in foul trouble in this game.
He's,
right?
I mean, dude, it's like he's not a power forward. He's 7-footer who, when you see him run, he's flat-footed. So, very skilled. Just needs to hit a foul trouble. I don't know if Zion is the guy that will put him there, but I'm not going to put it past Zion either.
DraftKings have been really good at price bumping guys on back-to-backs, but Zion was not a price bumper. Right? Well, that's what I'm saying.
He probably
right?
sits.
So, like, does that change your Towns take?
Yeah. That's true. That's fair. And also might change our CJM Ingram takes as well.
78 is a very cheap price tag for Kawhi Towns.
It is. Yeah, I guess I would reconfigure my.
We'll have to, of course, see if Zion actually sits here. So, Jeremy Grant, someone that I've been getting to in lineups here. I know, again, it wasn't the greatest game the other day, but it wasn't because of production. They won by 30. So, you think Portland versus Dallas is a bit more competitive, then I think this could be a good spot for him there, assuming Anthony Simons doesn't play. You have Jabari Smith at 6,800 now. They realized 27 minutes there against Detroit in that game. Thoughts here on this range of players?
I don't like it. Jeremy Grant's fine. I think, honestly, I've just been saying it for a couple slates, and I'm going to keep saying it. Okay. You just play Jalen Johnson at 6,300, who's coming off 24 and 13 and 4 assists, and the game prior, and that was the game. I was like, he played 29 minutes in return. He's going to play more minutes. Like, this was your starting power forward. 35 and 37 minutes in back-to-back games. Monster double-doubles in back-to-back games. Now, I know Ngannou's off the injury report, so we do have to contend with that again. But there's just no way Atlanta's looking at this and be like, yes, Onyeka Ngannou's back.
Double big.
Let's share the floor with – let's double big while Jalen Johnson's putting up 20-point double-doubles.
No, I agree with you 100% here. We've talked to some of these guys already. Obviously, Herb Jones would be a bit more interesting if Zion was to sit out. You've been playing Jabari Walker. Is that contingent again on the rotations? Like, are you buying into him in this price? Because the number keeps going up
here. Yeah. Do we have – is Ayton officially out? And is Duop Reed officially out?
Yeah, and Reed.
Ayton's out. Super contingent on Duop Reed because we saw, again, like, Jabari actually closed that game. That's how I feel.
Okay. Josh Hart's playing minutes.
He's probably the key.
Back-to-back double-digit rebound games for Josh Hart.
He's going to probably be their best minute guy off the bench.
Yeah,
because they traded, two guys.
Yeah. No, I agree. Nas Reed, not him. A couple nights ago, had a pretty big game, but obviously can't go through there. Matu started for Durant.
Yes, he did.
You 5,100 now.
I mean, he just lost that time on blowout too. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd be okay. Like, if that's where your lineup build ends, it's fine.
Sure. Anybody else down here for you? They didn't give Boucher any minutes, did they? Nope, they did not.
They do not care.
He didn't play at all either, which I thought was kind of sad. Bull got 20 minutes in that blowout there.
So, like, I told you this. He played in the first half.
Yeah.
Now, did he play? Was it like on pace for 20 minutes? No, he played almost an 8-minute shift in the first half, and then played the entire fourth. So Bull tracking 16 minutes off the bench. if you think that game blows out, but it's like between two of the better teams in the Western Conference.
Sure. Let's go on over to the center position. Again, we can play Giannis here if we want. You have Şengün at 89. You got Drummond on the back-to-back here. Held his own.
He was good. He was good.
Didn't get fouled. Hartenstein, they're going to be out there. Randall, I mean, this feels like a good Drummond spot at 8,400.
This is a really good Drummond spot if he can avoid getting switched on to like Julius Randle.
Right. Agreed.
Because the Hartenstein is only plays at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bulls, again, another spot where they cannot afford Terry Taylor to be on the floor for big minutes because he's 6'5". And the Knicks can go. I mean, if the Knicks see Terry Taylor 6'5" with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, and
they'll attack the rim all
they're
day.
Gonna kill. Oh my god, dude, it's gonna just be a nightmare for them. So, yeah. I mean, he played 20 minutes in a game. They lost by 100. I know it was a 13-point game, but they were down by 40 like throughout. 30.
I give him credit for the fouls. Only 2.
Sure. And Embiid was the one in foul. Embiid had foul trouble the whole night. Obviously didn't matter.
Didn't matter. 31, 10, and 15 in 30 minutes.
Did not matter. But I'm just throwing that out there that like he did have, a big game. Coincided with.
Can we go back to Jared Allen? Just plug him in.
Pretty good. Now, like obviously the 39, was still good, fine. Still got you the 5x.
Yeah.
And now he gets Washington. So
he gets Gafford, right?
With Gafford. Yep.
I like this Jared Allen spot a lot here. Nurkic is there. We talked Towns a little bit already. Gobert, Claxton also in the 7K range. Miles Turner was not his night. 5 fouls in that game. Jalen Duran, as you mentioned, is $6,900. He's been pretty good. Double doubles for him lately. I guess Valanciunas could be interesting if they sit Zion at 65, but obviously not a great matchup for him. Gafford's been better. What are your overall thoughts here?
I think the 7K tier is stacked. Like Allen, you can play. Nurkic was an absolute monster in that Portland game. 40 fantasy points in 25 minutes. Big usage rate, big fantasy point per minute guy without Kevin Durant. I know Zubats has been really good, but he's good defensively. So, if you want to get to Nurk, that's fine. Claxton, it's just hard to predict when Brooklyn's going to be competitive, I guess. Gobert, has a ceiling. Duran, again, Duran had 32 fantasy points in 22 minutes. He had massive foul trouble, and then he got taken out of the game in the third, and Houston went on a 50-0 run. I'd be okay getting back to Duran because he's been so good. I don't know if earlier in the year I would have said this mattered, the Zion thing for Valanciunas. I think with Larry Nance back, it doesn't because they're just basically.
Let's see what they did to Nance on the back-to-back. $4,500 actually isn't that bad. I thought we were about to see like $5,500.
They've been chopping minutes, so that's the hardest part with Valanciunas. He was still really good in his time, but why wouldn't you just play? Dude, Hartenstein played 39 minutes in that game. I know he did play so many
minutes. If he's going to be playing that kind of minutes, you can probably give him a look here.
He just needs to shoot more. That's all.
Yep.
Shoot a little bit more.
I agree.
No, not asking. We're not asking for a lot.
Just a little bit. Which I think was a song lyric. Lively at 5,500.
Yeah, he was good in this time. He's really good in this time.
Yeah, center's a little decent here. What did Kelly O do? 19 minutes in that game.
I was going to say Kessler played 27. Was really good. If Walker Kessler were to start, I'd have a lot of interest in Walker Kessler.
They're so inconsistent with the minutes on these guys. So it's just a wild thing here. Because wasn't Olynyk starting at one point or did start?
Yeah,
he off the bench
so you're not wrong where it's super impossible to figure out. I'm just saying, it's kind of a good spot.
Yeah. I would play Larry Nance. It is not an easy matchup for Larry Nance, but I would get there again.
Jaden Sharp or not Jaden Sharp. Dayron Sharp went nuclear, 27 fantasy points in 7.
Yeah, shout out to the
17
chat
games.
earlier today, right? I mean, blowout happened, obviously helping him out there a little bit, but he got there when we talked about him. Anybody else?
I don't know what to make of this, so we'll see. Because it could just be Jabari Walker, and I assume it would be, but the Trailblazers played Ibu Baji, 3,800, 23 minutes, and he fouled out. And that was really the only reason that he didn't play more.
Right.
He was like clearly ahead of Jabari Walker in this game, which is why like I'm thankful that he fouled out, because Jabari Walker played the whole fourth and just like was able to do what he did. But Baji was checked in for Moses Brown. He was the first center off the bench. Moses Brown again didn't play at all. Just like started for name, and then Moses Brown actually questionable in this game. So
sure. Yeah, I mean, both of those guys are out, right? I mean, like he could be a
like if Reith. So if Reith, all right, let's just talk this out real quick. Reith, Brown, Ayton are all out. Revisiting Jabari Walker at 54.
Yeah.
Baji, would you play Baji? Would you play Baji at 38?
Baji probably starts, right?
You probably have to start him. I just don't know how. Oh my God, Derek Lively would freaking cook him in pick and roll, like just lobs from Luka. In that case, he looks so awkward out on the floor, Ibu Baji. But yeah. Right, he might start.
He might start. All right, let's build a lineup here. Where do we start? It feels like we like the fair and balanced builds that we could have gotten out here. I mean, we talked Mitchell, right? We talked Mitchell. We talked OG. Quickly, you liked 64.
Yeah, we don't have to go quickly. That's not like a definite. I'm just saying I do think there was like a much higher ceiling in terms of minutes than he gave us at 20.
Okay. We're at 5,800 with an OG and a Donnie Mitch. So what's our move? Do you play Beasley just knowing the minutes are there, and then maybe or Mather in here, just one of those two guys?
I mean, we don't know the Mathurin thing. I know, like I get it. I'm just saying Bruce Brown and Nembhard obviously make a difference because both those guys play minutes. I assume Mathurin has a big role. I'm just Rick Carlisle is just a psycho. If you, I'm okay getting to Mathurin. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm also. All
right. Well, then how do complete the lineup? Where what's the next move then? Or do you even like this start? Like, what's your
play Mathurin? Yeah, I like that start. Play Mathurin. Jalen Johnson, 63.
Sure.
I don't know if Jared Allen.
I mean, you like Duran here, right?
That whole 7K tier is pretty good. Whoever we prefer, honestly.
We're gonna need a value play. There's Alec Burks. 59.50 for the rest of the lineup. Do you consider Josh Hart here at 54?
Yeah. Need a value? Call Alec Burks.
Yeah, $6,500 for a goes us right back to quickly. So just an example lineup for everybody: Donnie Mitch, Ben Mathurin, OG Anunoby, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duran, Alec Burks, Josh Hart, and Emmanuel quickly. Again, we'll have the full playbook out done by Sean Mitchell here. Of course, any news and updates that come through, we'll be back live at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Catch us all here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. If you have any questions, find us on Twitter at @the_real_grande. For me, at JImpemba777. Get us in the Discord, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and we will catch you guys later.